Good afternoon. Is it afternoon or evening? Good afternoon. Evening. Good afternoon. Glad to be here on this beautiful grounds. Mother Nature actually cleaned it up for us. You know, the thing cleaned out the air. The air quality is great. So you can't complain about that. You can breathe on your own overall. This is a wonderful time for June. First of all, June is my birthday month. So you can say happy birthday to me if you like. I'll celebrate it early. It's the 27th of June, but I'll take it. You know, I celebrate too Labor Day, so don't feel bad. If you miss June 27th, you have up till Labor Day, and that's it. I'm Karen Smith. I'm the lead percussionist and founder of Sistahs Laying Down Pins, and we're so happy to have this partnership today and this pop-up salon. We got drums. We're gonna have some poetry. You're going to have testimony, you're going to have moments, whatever can happen. You're going to have sharing information. We have some tables over there, as Molly said, and have some snacks. I'm the snack person, so I'll be hanging out over there sometime today. But we're just going to take a moment because though today is about survivors too, it's about anyone affected by it, anyone who lost someone. It doesn't matter if it's not cancer related, but that's what we're here for as well. So we're going to take this moment. We have this drum is called a steel tongue drum. It comes in various sizes. That's the smallest. It has a larger one there, and it's an even bigger one that I did not bring today. So we're going to play those softer instruments. We're going to sort of like have an invisible libation, I'm going to call it. If there's any names you want to call out today of folks that you've lost in the last year or more, that's fine today too. I want to extra acknowledge I lost a brother just recently to cancer, originally prostate cancer. So Ronald is his name, so I'll start putting that out there in the rhythms. And any name that you can think of, you want to shout out, you know, that would be up to you. And no pressure, if you just want to just feel the music as well. And thank you for allowing us to do this project here. My name is Deborah Powell Wright. I'm a member of Sistahs Laying Down Hands, along with Donna Dorman. And here's my bestie. We met when we were 7 years old. She's a breast cancer survivor. Please give her a hand. What we're going to do next, we already kind of sort of started it, but we're going to have a drum circle. But before we do that, Karen's going to give us an overview about a project that we are going to be doing actually in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you. So, and there are flyers too. You see the flyers on it? On the mini. You see the flyers? Over there. So, this project goes so far back, so it's hard to say when it really started. But my sister, which I brought with me, because we had these T-shirts made the year that she died. So she died in 2007. I'm originally from New York, so that was in Brooklyn. And since her care, it's like the last 10 months was when everything got very intense. And one of the things that seemed to work during her time of her illness was I would take my drum to the hospital. And I just thought, wow, I never thought about it doing anything more than what I just did. And from that point on, after she died in February 2007, just it wouldn't go away. Like, how can I use what I have incorporated in part of the treatment as far as people's, sort of like it be a resource in their treatment, whether they are the patient, whether they are the caretaker, whether they are the family, whether they are, whatever need. And then not just the drum, because I wear other hats, so maybe writing, maybe poetry, maybe dance, some kind of craft, different things can be used for during times of stress. It doesn't necessarily have to be from cancer, but, life is stressful by itself. So this is where this project continues. So by 2015, it started growing into an idea that I did at the Painted Bride in November of 2015. It was a day of different genres of artistry, along with, we created some live music too for that, and we did a multimedia piece because it was film as well, some testimonies, etc. And I just felt like after that kind of didn't do as well as far as its attention, I just kept saying I want to do this again somehow, And eventually I had a conversation with Dr. Monique Gary, who's a breast cancer surgeon, and we talked about doing something where it would be a week long. I told her about my original idea, a week long of a breastable, that's what she called it. And I'm like, yeah, breastable, that would be it. And different places it would happen, which it will be. That's the flyer that we have in October. In October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we're going to do this breastable, and it's going to be free. We're working on funding as we speak. And it's going to be at different places throughout the city, as well as starting at the Still Rise Farm, which is Dr. Monique Gary's non-for-profit that's in Percy. Yeah, is that right? Did I say the name right? Because I always mess it up. Okay, about an hour, less than an hour from here. But, and you'll see the different things on here. And like I said, the majority of the things are free. So that would be in October of this year. Hopefully it'll become an annual thing. Hopefully this will become an annual thing. There's no wrong answer. However, but I appreciate having these grounds. I love these grounds actually. I'm going to come back here more often. So you might see me just around. Just call me the Canterbury Ghost. It's going to be hanging out. There's the drum. You're just going to hear the drum. But I love these grounds. So thank you for letting us do this project. Drum circle time. Okay, all right. So if you don't have an instrument, you got to grab something. Anything you do. Whatever you have or whatever. If you're near the circle, which is this is some circle, you got to grab something. Yeah, I would, Yes, yes, yes.
Uh-oh. Okay. Perfect. Good evening, everybody. My name is Susan Cruz Sullivan. I'm an oncology nurse practitioner here at Pennsylvania Hospital. I've been here for about 20 years, and I've been in the field of oncology for almost 35 years already. I'm also a certified nurse navigator in breast cancer and breast imaging, and I'm the survivorship program coordinator for Pennsylvania Hospital. And if anybody knows Dr. David Mincer, that's who I work with. And I've worked with a lot of wonderful people over the years, including so many of these faces here tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about breast cancer awareness. It's a really important topic. I'm not going to spend too much time on facts or figures. I just want to give you some information. I want to talk a little bit about the incidence of breast cancer, signs and symptoms, risk factors. I want to talk about health and wellness, screening, detection. And I want to spend some time talking about gender, diverse, and underrepresented populations, which I think is really important, especially in our current world. So in order to spread the word about breast cancer awareness, I think it has to be current, I think it has to be relevant, above all, I think it has to be interesting. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm a very interesting person, but I will say, over the years, I think I met so many incredible people who really have shaped who I am today and make me able to do what I'm doing in terms of helping my breast cancer patients. I've done a number of public health events, a number of community events, a number of church events, with major breast cancer organizations. I've been to small events, large events. As a matter of fact, some faces look familiar. I think I've seen those drums before somewhere. I'm not quite sure where. But I think what is most relevant to what I've done over the years is when I've been to some of these outside community events and somebody would walk up to me and say, "Can you talk to my mom? She's never had a mammogram. She's scared." Or, "My aunt's over there and she has a lump. And if you have time, can you just tell her how to get started?" And that's the stuff I remember from 20 and 25 years ago. Of course, I do a lot of clinical and big stuff now with clinical trials and taking care of patients with advanced treatment and names you can't even spell nor pronounce of stuff that we're treating people with. But that's the kind of stuff that I always think of and remember when I think about breast cancer awareness. So with that said, I want to thank the Sistahs Laying Down Hands Collective for inviting me. I'm really honored to be there. I'll try to make it interesting. Not as interesting as they are, but I will try to make this as interesting as possible. So I'm going to talk a little bit about epidemiology of breast cancer. We know that 1 in 8 women can be diagnosed with breast cancer over a lifetime. And again, I've been doing these talks for so many years, and every year I have to look at the numbers, and I see that the numbers increase. We're up to almost 298,000 of women diagnosed each year. About 1% are diagnosed in men. And the numbers are pretty high. That's why we take screening very seriously. We take awareness very seriously, and we also take treatment very, very seriously. As far as incidence and mortality, it really varies among racial and ethnic groups. We know that breast cancer is more common in white women and in black women. We know that Asian and Pacific Islanders have the best survival rates. We know that black women, especially before the age of 40, are most likely to be diagnosed worse so, have higher risk of recurrence, and also are diagnosed at later stages and are more likely to die. What are reasons for these disparities? We don't know for sure. What we've gathered over the years, some of it could be related to socioeconomic status, some of it is related to genetic exposure, like we see with women who are BRCA positive, Ashkenazi Jewish women. Exposures to certain things in the environment. This is pesticides, it's heavy metals, there's a lot of things out there. And varying access to healthcare, and that's really my soapbox. And I'm really glad we have our nurse navigators here tonight, because that's where access really starts. And I think that's one of the biggest things, and I think that's why we see disparity in care and changes in the numbers. Risk factors, who's at risk? Being a woman, getting older, 2 of the greatest risk factors. Genetic components, family history, having a diagnosis of breast cancer already, people are at risk for recurrence, a previous diagnosis of endometrial, colon cancer, ovarian cancer, of course genetic mutations with Ashkenazi Jewish women, people with dense breasts, alcohol, drug use, smoking is big. We don't hear a lot about exercise and nutrition, but that's big. Increasing weight, having extra fatty tissue around the midline, which can harbor hormones, which can definitely lead to recurrence with a lot of our breast cancer patients already. Never having a baby, maybe having a baby after the age of 30. Hormone replacement therapy, oral contraceptives. And what leads me to my next topic is people who are undergoing gender-affirming hormone therapy, different sex hormones. So who else is at risk? Well, there's a group that we don't always talk about, sexual gender minorities or sexual gender diversity. And this is a group of people who are definitely at risk because of certain hormone treatment that they receive over time. In the literature, this group is underrepresented. They, especially when it comes to screening and awareness. Remember I said it really wasn't that interesting? Well, I do have a little interesting story. Probably about 25 years ago, I attended an LGBTQ breast cancer awareness event, funded and actually sponsored by an incredible breast cancer organization. And for once, I wasn't asked to present that day. I was part of the audience. I came to represent the hospital where I worked, and I sat with an incredible group of lesbian women who told me their experiences in the healthcare community and how they felt when they would go to see a provider or maybe when they would go to get care. And they told me some of their fears. And I remember when I was listening to the presentation, we were talking about risk factors associated with breast cancer specific to underrepresented populations and also the gay population. And we were talking, the presenter was talking about lesbian women have a higher risk of maybe being overweight, never having children, smoking, alcohol. And the woman I sat with looked at me and she said, "I'm going down. This is scaring the crap out of me." And I remember thinking that it's not so much how you present information, it's not so much what you present, but it's really how you present it. And we need to have a plan on how to help people, making sure that we have access available for everyone, for underrepresented populations, for people who have limited access to care, and for people like the women I sat with who really didn't feel a part of the healthcare community. And I learned from that, and I actually went on to write a letter to this breast cancer organization, and they were very nice. They wrote back to me and said, "Thank you for these comments. This is helpful. We'll use it in the future." So I think this is, important that we talk about different minorities, different populations, different diverse groups who maybe don't have access or maybe have fears or perceived discrimination. As far as gender and a gender-affirming hormone therapy, both male and female transgender patients should be screened for breast cancer. And I'm not sure that's something that everyone knows. Someone who was assigned female at birth, who goes on to receive gender-affirming hormone therapy, and is a transgender male, should undergo mammogram and sometimes ultrasound and MRI due to density of the breast. We don't know for sure what estrogen and testosterone does in terms of this therapy, but we do know that it puts people at risk. Same thing with someone who was assigned male at birth, who undergoes estrogen therapy and is male transgender female, then they definitely still have to get mammograms. And I think the big thing is really to look at some barriers, things that I've identified over the years and things that I've read in the literature. It's fear, it's trust, it's perceived stigma, it's not including someone's partner, it's really lack of awareness. And I think it's a pretty simple equation. I think that inclusion and respect really can equal trust and really feeling safe about the care that someone gets. So I think that we really need to increase awareness in many populations. So again, just the guidelines for gender diverse individuals, and I'll just read it from my notes here, is that we need to follow breast cancer guidelines developed for women in transgender and gender diverse populations who have received estrogen. It's very important. So the literature is starting to evolve, though, with a lot of different underserved and underrepresented populations. I do know that what we know is that sexual gender minorities are less likely to get routine cancer screenings, and unfortunately they're more likely to present with later stage cancers that are more difficult to treat. What we don't always know is why people aren't coming out. We do know that people do better, everyone does better for breast cancer, for prostate cancer, and for lung cancer if it's detected early. So that's the real message that we need to let people know. We're doing better in terms of progress, we're doing better in terms of our literature, we're doing better in terms of research and data collection. We're now using electronic medical records and asking people to disclose their sexual orientation in order for us to know whether someone is using he, him, she, her, they, them, and then we can better take care of people. Again, it's about building trust. And look at us tonight. Here I am on a Tuesday night with you out in the yard, and we're talking about it. So I think it's all beautiful stuff, and I think that we need to continue with our efforts to make sure that everyone is included. It's better said than done. It has to just be done. It has to be actions. It has to be education, awareness, and access. And I think those are the biggest things. So, breast cancer warning signs for everyone. a lump or a thickening in the breast or in the underarm, any kind of change in the skin, change in the size and the shape of the breast, sometimes puckering or dimpling of the skin, retraction of the skin if there's a lump underneath, any kind of pain that doesn't go away. Pain doesn't necessarily indicate breast cancer, but it is a change. So if somebody has a pain that doesn't go away, it needs to be evaluated. And something called peau de rong, which is like changes, almost rippling in the skin. It looks like the outside of an orange. Things like that need to be changed. Again, not everything means someone has breast cancer nor a breast cancer recurrence. Your job is just to get it checked, and that's the big thing I want to say tonight. Screening and detection, one of my favorite topics. Over the years, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. A lot of organizations have changed the screening guidelines. I've always followed what I call the triad: breast self-exam, clinical breast exam, and mammograms. Groups like the American Cancer Society, the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, groups like the American College of Gynecologists, the United States Preventive Task Force, they all put out recommendations on how often someone should get a clinical breast exam and how often someone should get a mammogram. I'm just going to give you the basics as per the NCCN guidelines. For breast self-exam, we do know that it may not improve survival as a screening tool, but most patients will say to me, I found a lump. So we still recommend that people know their breast. Look in the mirror, check it in the shower, know your breast, and tell your doctors or nurse practitioners or PAs what's happening. As far as a clinical breast exam, usually by age 40, it's recommended that people get a clinical breast exam at least once a year. It's okay to do it beforehand, depending on genetic mutations. I actually like people getting clinical breast exams much earlier than 40, but again, guidelines vary. Imaging, we recommend starting mammograms typically at age 40. We sometimes start them at a younger age depending on genetic mutations and changes or maybe a family history. It is our gold standard. It is the best. Digital mammogram is superior technology for detecting changes in dense breast. And for women 50 and older, mammograms, especially digital mammogram, can detect changes 2 years before a change is something that you can feel, something that's palpable. So right through those doors there, we have incredible technology at our Women's Imaging Center. We have very advanced technology, digital tomo, and some patients, in selected cases, if there's a genetic mutation or maybe dense breast or a family history, we'll recommend an MRI or an ultrasound. And I mentioned about the transgender population. A lot of times transgender men were recommending mammogram, ultrasound, and MRI in selected cases. So any abnormalities, of course, you would report to your doctor and then get checked. So general health and wellness for breast cancer. Again, one of my favorite topics. I could talk all night, but I know I have limited time. Nutrition and exercise. We're doing so much here at Pennsylvania Hospital and Penn as a health group with exercise. We have this group called Exercise Oncology. We're encouraging our cancer survivors as well as everybody to exercise if you're allowed to, if your physician says it's okay during and after treatment. Exercise can help with fatigue, bone health, heart health, and it can help prevent cancer as well as breast cancer as well as breast cancer recurrence. We have data to support this. Exercise helps the immune system, it boosts the immune system, so it can help certain treatments, especially chemotherapies for patients undergoing breast cancer treatment. It's really protective in terms of the immune response. We recommend patients exercise about 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise. It's so important. It just makes you feel good. Another thing is weight. Oops, sorry about that. Another thing is any kind of weight gain in a woman. We want to be very careful in women and in men in terms of weight gain because of how it can harbor certain hormones which can again attribute to cancers, breast cancers or breast cancer recurrences. So exercise is all good stuff. I'm prescribing it if you haven't noticed it. I'm telling everybody to do it. So as long as you're okay and you don't have any limitations, get out there and exercise. Nutrition, just as important. Our dietitians usually recommend a low-fat, almost Mediterranean-based diet. Limit your alcohol intake. They say, this varies, but they say maybe 0 to 1 a day or 0 to 3 drinks a week. There's a thought that increased alcohol intake can attribute to breast cancer recurrence. As far as diet, the Mediterranean diet, which is a low-fat diet, try to substitute certain things like maybe using olive oil instead of butter, maybe spices and herbs instead of salt, fish and poultry instead of meat. Not too fun, but low-fat things like yogurt. All this is good to do. And I don't know if anybody grew up in the 80s, but do you remember that commercial by a famous actor named Yul Brynner? the smoking commercial, right? Thank you, all two of you, I remember, right? But the American Cancer Society sponsored a really incredible public service announcement in the 80s, and it was by a famous actor named Yul Brynner, who died of lung cancer. And he simply sat, in front of a plant, with a background and said, "Don't smoke." If I knew that, I would get cancer, I would not have smoked. And it was probably one of the most powerful, direct and unequivocal messages I ever heard as a very, very young girl, and it stuck with me 35 years later. So I'm telling all of you, with respect to cancer and breast cancer, don't smoke. And if you are smoking, get help. Try to stop. It's bad. It causes cancer. It causes a lot of bad things. Vaccinations, and also just general recommendations in terms of cancer screenings and cardiovascular health screenings, all that's important. And I recommend that you track your progress. Write down your diet, write down your exercise, keep track of it. And if you're overweight, I tell people, try to start low, go slow, try to lose maybe 5% of your body weight over maybe a 6-month period of time. I know some people say, oh, lose 10 pounds in 2 months. It's not always realistic in this world. We work, we're tired, we're getting older, our metabolism's lower, our estrogen's lower. We have things that really work against us and sometimes can, make us put on weight. So, we just have to sort of be realistic in our goals. So take-home messages, I know I gave a lot of information, but I say this at all my presentations. Knowledge is power. Go out there and get the information and do the thing. Know your body, take an active role in your health. It's really important. And here at Pennsylvania Hospital in Penn Medicine, we're very fortunate that we have a really incredible breast program for people who need help. We have incredible nurse navigators. We have an incredible cancer supportive care service for patients who maybe need help getting access to care. And as far as the uninsured, we have a program called the Penn Medicine Breast Health Initiative, where patients who are uninsured or underinsured can get a mammogram for free, and then a diagnostic mammogram and a biopsy for free if needed. At that point, if there is a diagnosis of cancer, or even not, we're still trying to get people insurance. The real key is get people into the healthcare system, whatever it takes. So we have, we're breaking down those barriers of access. We just need to break down fear. We just need to break down just getting people through the door. So thank you for spreading the awareness with this pop-up event. Your tribe's out there. Look, there's a great tribe here tonight, so you just really have to know who's there to help you and get the information that you need. Another thing, we resurrected mobile mammogram, which is a 54 feet screening van. I love mobile mam. I've worked with it probably 30 years ago in another facility, and I think it was quiet for a while. It was parked. But things have changed, and we now resurrected it, and we're able to take it out to the community and do mammograms of no cost. There are dressing rooms in mobile mammography. People can go in and get a 10-minute mammogram, and if there's something that's detected, they can get the help that they need. So this is incredible. This is us bringing care into the community. Again, we're trying to break down access, break down barriers. So I could talk all night, but I'm going to stop there because I'm going to let the real talent take over. So I want to thank all of you for your kind attention. I'll be floating around if you have any questions.
Yeah, just one quick question. Could you say a little bit about the importance of clinical trials for African Americans?
Sure. So over the years, I think there's been a lot of underrepresented populations for clinical trials. And I think the real key is we need to include more people in clinical trials. People need to be asked to be a part of a clinical trial. And if you go to see your doctor, you need to ask about clinical trials. I know that Penn Medicine does a lot in terms of research for all populations. I know there's a lot of effort on the African American community. But I think the real key, and what I'm seeing with my patients, is when we're treating them and they need another type of care and they're not really sure what that next step would be. I notice my patients will even say to me, "I'm running trials open." And I think as a whole, everyone needs to be included in clinical trials. They're out there. It's just we have to, I remember when I first came to Pennsylvania Hospital, we had a genetic African American trial where we were drawing blood work to see how many of our African American patients harbored the BRCA1, BRCA2 genetic mutation. So that was something that had been done 22 years ago when I first came. So, again, we need to make sure that everybody's included and that you're asking for information if you need it. Are there any more questions? I'll be floating around. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for your interest.
Thank you, Susan. Your silence will not protect you. Your silence will not protect you. Who's familiar with that quote? Say her name. Audre Lorde. So for those who are not familiar, Audre Lorde described herself as a black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet. She was also a professor, a philosopher, a civil rights activist. She dedicated her life and her creative talent to confronting and addressing injustices of racism and sexism and classism and homophobia. She was born on February 18, 1934. She died of breast cancer on November 17, 1992. I have here a book, one of many that she's written. It's called The Cancer Journals. While she was going through treatment, and it was after she was first diagnosed in 1978, she had a mastectomy. She started writing in a journal, and this publication has some of her writings starting from 6 months after she was diagnosed in 1978. This collection was published in 1980. I just want to share a brief testimony from one of her many friends. Thank you for that. Bear with me a moment. One of her many friends, Karen Russian, delivered a lengthier version of what I'm going to read in remembrance of Audre Lorde. It's called Praise Song for the Poet for Audre Lorde. Drummers are always like that. Take it in, put it out, use it before she loses it. Drummers are always like that. Flashy, dazzling, cool, not too cool to get hot, to get down. Sounds, her acts, sounds, her creation, sounds, her life, plungent and sweet vibrations, pounding, resounding, strikes the sweet spot, sweating, eyeing us over her cymbals, trembling. Audre Lorde leaves her body, this body, laid down, blood bed, stretched out, rest bed, arch up, love bed, cool sheets from your sick bed. Witness your deathbed. This body, honey, grass, bell, tongue, kettle of flame. This body won't come by here again. Leaves her books, her words, her sisters, her children, her lovers, her poetry, her emotion. Audre Lorde gives us bottom, keeps time. Audre Lorde got to give the drummer some. Say amen. your silence will not protect you. At minimum, what we're going to do is introduce ourselves to each other. Say whatever it is that is in your heart that you want to share about who you are. We're going to start, we already had Karen saying a little something, something, so we're going to start right over here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Donna Revere Suje Dorman. I've got a lot of last names. Never got those divorces taken care of. So just hold on a minute. I'm gonna get the money. That's another story. But my stage name is Noise. That's Noize. And I'm so honored that I could be here today to support Karen in the event. I play with Sistahs laying down hands only because she lets me. When she don't let me, I don't play. Okay. But yeah, and I love what I do. I don't play drums for a living, but as a retired senior, I know a number of women who have suffered from breast cancer and gone through that cycle of dealing with it. And we just want to fight. We just want to keep fighting. We want to get the word out. We want to tell people what they can do and should do when it comes to their health, especially their breast health. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope I see you all again.
By the way, Donna received a grant from the Leeway Foundation called for what we call it, Boobies and Drum Beats, a series of pop-up events that we started doing last October when Karen hosted the first event at a place in Germantown. And so, yeah, Our House it's called, right. And so, along with Karen, Donna's been doing drum circles, meeting with people, but again, just to get the word out. And the Leeway Foundation is an organization here in Philadelphia that gives grants to women who are doing art for social change. So it's a big deal that Donna got this grant.
Hello all, thanks for being here. My name is Gloria Mathis, and as Debbie said before, we've been buddies since 7. And I am a breast cancer survivor. 2018, I was diagnosed. And I would say, if nothing else, early detection. Get your mammogram. It's so important. And I'm doing well, I'm exercising, and I'm trying to eat right and just keeping my appointments. That's important. Thank you.
That's my bestie, y'all. For real.
My name is Shirley. I just came from physical therapy. I'm sitting out here in the yard on a conference call with my chaplain group, and they heard the drums in the background. Then when y'all came close and invited me, I said, wow, that's wonderful therapy today. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Matt. I'm a high school biology teacher in Schools for Philadelphia.
And you just got an award, too.
And tomorrow's my last day until summer. And my mom is actually a 20-year breast cancer survivor.
I'm Angel, and these beautiful sisters. I'm also a local poet and performer, and I recently lost an uncle to cancer. And I'm just really glad to be here today in this beautiful space.
Hello, my name is Robin Evans, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in 2008 and told to go home and get my affairs in order. And so, what message I am here to say is that I had to learn about cancer, I had to figure it out, and I had to learn about clinical trials. And now, actually, I'm a cancer ambassador, research ambassador at Penn, where we are helping women to understand clinical trials and why it's important to be in there. And so we know that sometimes we're not comfortable with talking to people about clinical trials. And actually, I'm a part of a new study that they're doing at Penn, where they will have another survivor talk to a woman before she gets introduced to clinical trials, so that we can begin to answer those questions and conquer those fears. So my message to you today is in a greeting that I learned in South Africa, which is Sawbono. And the response is Yibi Sawbono. And the reason I love it so much is Sawbono does not mean hi, how you doing? It means I see you. And when you say Ibe Sawbono back, it means I see you seeing me. And so it's an acknowledgement of who we are as a person and respecting that as a person. That I see you and I acknowledge that you are seeing me for who I am. So that's the message I wanted to leave. And when we finish, because I have my little, it's a very short breast cancer Pink Sister poem that I would like to leave you with. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Danielle. I was actually born in this hospital, and I used to work here. I am a breast cancer survivor. My breast cancer was diagnosed in 2021, following clearances from being diagnosed with leukemia and undergoing an allogeneic bone marrow transplant. And I will say that breast cancer treatment was the worst, is the worst. It was much harder. I'm here because I need to heal. I need to heal. I'm still going through it, but I'm trying to heal. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Dion Nuwayo. I work and health manager at the African Family Health Organization, a small nonprofit in Southwest Philly. Just got a grant to educate and advocate for young women experiencing breast cancer. So I'm here to learn more, and I'm thankful to be here with you all.
Hi, I'm Laura Kim. I work for Penn Medicine, and one of my jobs is really to educate, advocate, and create access. So I'm here to support you. And I'm passing it to this powerhouse. I'm really just a regular.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shantae Thompson. I'm here because I received information about the event from Laura, who is one of my favorite people and biggest fans and support me in all of my breast cancer endeavors. My mother lost her fight to breast cancer 18 years ago, and since her passing, I have walked for breast cancer, had pink nights out. I recently had my second mammogram screening event in Frankfurt because I live in Frankfurt. I was raised in Frankfurt. My mother was from Frankfurt. I have a campaign called Got Breast, Get a Mammogram. So my goal is to most definitely, with Laura's assistance and support and encouragement, to push access to, preventative care in the community, so people can have awareness and have access. So that's just me. And this wonderful person sitting next to me is one of my lifetime friends. We've been friends for, I don't know, since I was probably 5. And I know she's about to be really emotional. Her mom just passed away from breast cancer moments ago. So I'll encourage her to come out with me tonight. She can't do it, but that's fine. But we're here to love and support her tonight and speak life into her and keep Aunt Barbara's memory and live in our hearts forever.
Thank you all for sharing. I think Karen wanted to play a message from Dr. Monique Gary. She had intended to be here today, and then, on top of that, she lost her voice, but got it back just enough time to send this tape message to Karen.
This is Dr. Monique Gary, breast surgical oncologist at Grandview Health in Upper Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I'm a proud collaborator for today's pop-up garden for breast cancer awareness in association with Sistahs Laying Down Hands. The cancer community is one nobody hopes to join, but many of us are members. Whether we are patients, providers, caregivers, advocates, or community support, we know firsthand how the disease can take away more than health. It can create isolation and erode our sense of peace and confidence in our bodies and ourselves. 1 in 8 will be diagnosed with breast cancer in our city alone, and we have much work to do. This is why today's gathering is so important. As CEO of Bucks County Still Rise Farms, a 40-acre living, learning laboratory and farm for integrative wellness, I am honored to partner with Sistahs Laying Down Hands to promote breast health. From now until October, you can follow us at pop-up events around the city, culminating in our first annual Breastival with screening, wellness, nutritional workshops, community fellowship, and more, all in the name of regaining what cancer cannot take away from us, our sisterhood, our self-determined collective, and we are determined to combat this disease with every resource we have. We look forward to seeing you at Still Rise Farms, and we look forward to seeing you throughout October at our Breastival.
And so speaking of Dr. Monique Gary, Robin, who we met at the Still Rise Farm, we went out there, the 4 of us went out there to perform at a breast cancer retreat for an organization, and you can tell more about it, but I want to invite Robin up to say a few words as well as to share her poem with us.
Now, Karen and I have not practiced this, but but I have a little poem that I had wrote about Pink Sisters that I wanted to share with you. So, you want to start me out, okay? Pink Sister, be strong and share your story. Your survival depends on God's grace and glory. The blessings that He has bestowed upon you will inspire pink hearts and bless all that you do. For many have fought and did not survive. To God be the glory that you are alive. For you are a survivor, and there's no time to rest. So I pray that your journey will always be blessed. Now tell your story, both near and far, because you are a superstar, a precious Pink Sister superstar. Okay, so I'm gonna do this last poem because a lot of times as breast cancer survivors, you know, we don't know what to do, and we're figuring it out, and everybody is figuring it out, and sometimes it can get frustrating, and sometimes you can make a mistake and make a mistake with your family, or be short, and you're going through treatment and you're not feeling well, and so I wrote this poem about making a mistake, and I hope that you enjoy it. Have you ever wondered when you made a mistake on a tad so easy was a piece of cake? Did you feel rejected? stop the rest? Did you say to yourself, why try again? But for all you know, this time you can win. For with every mistake there is something to learn, and you too will have yet another turn to stretch your stuff, take on the fight. I'm sure this time you'll do it right. And should you happen to take a fall, keep standing proud and hold your head tall. For there's much to gain and nothing to lose. But for every decision, it's you who must choose. So never give up, and for goodness sake, just think it was only a silly mistake. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. I have to tell you, one of the reasons why I love being with sisters laying down hands, there are moments like this. A lot of times, we don't rehearse. You know, we kind of sort of know what we're going to do, and then we got to just go with the flow. Pleasures await. You need not wade on the precipice of murky waters, waiting for ecstasy to envelop you or to drown away your darkness. Truth be told, to thine own self be true. Remind you of new healing rhythms, your rhymes, your profound and poetic lines. You possess them under the skin you're in. Lavish your life in letters like love sounds, spelling your name in the sun, in the rain. And when you remember your words, put your poem to music. Play it again and again and again, and then you'll see yourself smiling in the natural beauty of your life. Say amen, y'all. I'm going to share one more poem. Are you going to share, Donna? Okay. Now, this poem, actually my husband wrote it, and it has instructions at the end. Y'all know how to follow instructions? Okay. And you all can grab instruments. You know, grab instruments. Come on now. We're going to walk the path between tall grass that many feet had beaten, to this circle where the drums play and our souls sit silently waiting as we're passing by a raccoon spire. There's a Dan crier with notes like fluted reeds, softly playing the melody of the earth beneath our feet. As we step towards the circle and an ever-pulsating beat. The tall grass broke by a riverside where a wise young lady sat. She waited for her fish to jump so she could share her catch. Jump to the jump, 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 jump to the jump, jump, jump to the jump, jump, jump to the jump. Let this line of the rhythmic beat catch you with a hook into your minds and pull you from any murky depths to the light of the warm sunshine as the piper plays the chorus and this tempo starts to swirl. Let's dance in a circle of humanity. Woman, man, boy and girl. Woman, man, boy and girl. Woman, man, boy and girl. Let's dance. I'm not playing, y'all. Let's dance. Come on now. Let's dance.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being a participant and coming out to support us. Before you leave, please stop over at the tables. There are goodie bags over there with information in them and a little piece of candy, something sweet just for you. Don't leave without, checking in and getting more information to take back with you. There's an exercise over there. I don't know what it is, but go check it out, please. Until then, until we meet again, love y'all.